What is up, guys? This is Pinzo back with another video today, and what I have for you guys is a tier list. This is the 19.1 tier list. This is the Terra patch, post-Terra patch, whatever. Terra released, and then a week later, another balance patch came out, and now we're not going to have one for like 5 weeks. It's a really weird thing going on in Pred right now, but I figured I'd give you guys a tier list. I usually do one when heroes come out. Obviously, patch 18 was the 6-item patch, so a lot has changed, and a lot continues to change as they figure out how to balance the game around 6 items. So we're going to jump into this. I'm just going to go alphabetical. It's the easiest way for me to do it. I'll go to this side of the screen so you guys can see who's coming up next. And yeah, this is going to be our tier list. So S tier, these are the broken heroes. You should pick these. You should ban these pretty much every game. A+, I like to break up my A tier. A+, good heroes, but they're not broken, right? They're not the tippity top, but they're very solid, pretty much pickable every game. A tier, these are like average picks. This is something you could pick it every game. It probably has some good matchups. It probably has some bad matchups. It's maybe good in this situation, bad in this situation, but they're average, right? B, these are going to be more matchup dependent heroes, like heroes that really aren't good outside of their couple of good matchups or outside of their couple of good situations, right? C tier, these are just pretty bad heroes. Maybe this is where I'm going to put one trick heroes, like heroes that are good if you're really good at them. Like if that's the only hero you play and you're good at it, probably going in C tier if it's bad. D, these are just bad heroes. So jumping into this is primarily going to be a solo queue, right? Like ranked kind of tier list. Now that we have ranked, I can say that this is a ranked tier list. And yeah, I will probably talk about like the competitive scene, PCC, a little bit, but that's not primarily what I'm ranking these heroes on. So we're just going to go alphabetical, starting with Countess. I think Countess is actually solid right now. I don't think she's broken. I think she's pretty good. I would really only play her in the jungle. In mid lane, she has mostly bad matchups. Like the one matchup you can really play Countess into any melees is Gideon. Just kind of works. Yeah, it just kind of works. In the jungle, I think she's pretty solid. You go Spirit of Amir first, you have really good wave clear. You also actually have pretty good gank potential. Late game, this character is just a monster, and I think she's pretty solid. Crunch. I think Crunch is not awesome right now. I think this character just gets beat by most other bruisers. I don't think he does his lane bully job as good as he has in the past. With the recent change in this last patch to augmentation, which was a big buff to aug, I think that he's a little better, but I still don't think he's amazing. Outside of lane, like late game, post 25 minutes fighting 5v5s, this character is really hard to play effectively, just hard to get value out of, really. So I think he's a little difficult, but I think he's meh. Decker, probably the best support in the game, just does so much damage, has a cage, locks people down longer than most other supports can lock them down from a range that most other supports can't lock people down in. You can play backline, you can go Riftwalkers and play for engage, you can build silence and you can double jump silence Gideons out of the air, right? Just a really good hero. Like, I don't know, it's wild to me that they could ever make this hero be bad. Like, how low her numbers would have to be to make this hero be bad, pretty crazy. Like, she just got nerfed. I still think she's really Drongo. I don't really think any of the carries are probably going to be an S tier, but there will probably be quite a few in A+. Drongo is really strong right now. Just like solid lane presence, decent 1v1, really good objective shred, lots of utility, right? Very safe. Good at killing tanks as well, which is like important as we'll continue to see. But just a solid all-around carry, one of the better ones. Feng Mao. I think Feng Mao is not awesome. I would maybe put him in A tier. Some of this will get moved as we go along. I think Feng Mao's okay. With the loss of old Judgment, right? Judgment got changed from its crazy scaling physical damage to moderately scaling magical damage, and you don't really build it on assassins anymore. It's not that crazy instant, like 500 burst damage late game. Still, I think you're probably going Nex or Ortis on Feng Mao now. Still think he's okay in the jungle and the solo lane. Solo lane, he is matchup dependent. I think you pretty much have to play him into tanks. Because you'd kind of abuse tanks. You get to the point where you have Chalice and Malady, and you just clear the wave, and then you walk away, and you never have to interact with them. In the jungle, a little bit different. You kind of have to get active. Harder to pull objectives on this hero, stuff like that. I think he's all right. He might move down to B tier. Gadget, I think one of the better mid laners right now, even in ranked. Like, this is a hero who, if you hit the 20-minute mark on, she sort of becomes uncontestable. Gadget passive, for those of you that don't know, when you take damage from an enemy hero, you gain a shield based on your maximum mana, and then you combo that with Alchemical Rod or Azure Core, right? Gives you a bunch of mana, so that your passive shield gets bigger. But now Azure Core also has a shield of its on its own, right? And then if you go Soul Bearer, the crest, that also gives you a shield based on your mana. So this character becomes, she plays from a range that's already uncontestable, and then you stack 3 pretty big shields on that, and she just becomes really hard to kill. This character is just really good, kills tanks really good, has really good poke, really safe to play in mid lane. You just stand on your tier 1 and you throw abilities at the wave. Just a solid hero, I think. Gideon, I think it's hard to say this character's ever bad because of how safe he is in middle lane, but I think now that his numbers are lower, he's harder to play than I think a lot of people realize, because you do have to play fairly aggressive on this hero to get the value out of your ultimate, out of your rocks in lane, stuff like that. And a lot of people were used to how overpowered he was, and you didn't have to do that as much. Now you definitely have to play to your strengths. I still think he's all right. Again, really good mobility, really hard to feed on this hero. Solid. Greystone. I don't think Greystone's very good. I think he's okay in jungle because his clear is really strong. And in the offlane, I think he loses to pretty much everything. I don't know why you'd pick this hero right now when other tanks are so good. Like, why? I just don't. I don't know. I don't think he's super good. He might even move down. I just don't think he does anything right now. Grux. I think Grux is still okay, especially in ranked, right? In solo queue or whatever ranked. I think Grux is still good. You still bully lanes on this hero. You have a little, your kit is a little less forgiving because you don't get quite as much Omnivamp to all in those 1v2s, right? That kind of thing, but a little bit less damage. I still think what this character does is really annoying for a lot of people to play against, and they don't do it properly. So I still think he's good. Howitzer. Similar to Gideon, you have to play aggressive on this hero, and a lot of the good mid laners right now are sort of just, they kind of just push the wave and walk away, and you don't really get a whole lot of chance to play aggressive, so you have to play aggressive. Like, you kind of have to play fast and hard on this hero, same with Gideon, and it's punishable. That's the main downside. So I don't think he's amazing. I think he's a very solid mid laner. Late game, your boop has a lot of utility. You one-shot carries with your ultimate. Still a good hero. Kallari. I think Kallari's probably A tier for me in solo queue. I think she's fine. If you're good at this hero, she's good. If you're not super awesome at this hero, she's worse. You have to play really weird on this hero to get value out of it. I don't think you can play a normal like flow of jungle to play this hero properly. You have to be a little weird. If you can get that down, I think she's actually okay. She can carry games in jungle, in solo queue for sure, and ranked. Chimera, I think this hero is pretty okay. I think I'm going to put him in B tier because I think he loses to a lot of the stuff that's really good right now. But in ranked, in solo queue, I think the hero is always going to be valuable. You have really safe clear. You're always healthy. You can pull objectives. I think he's all right. I think he loses to a lot of stuff that's good. Kira, one of the better carries in my opinion. I think I see this hero do a lot. She, again, similar to Drongo, I don't think she's broken, but I think she's pretty solid. I mean, she runs people down in lane. Late game, you do a lot of damage. You have good objective damage on this hero. You have kill secure with your Q, stuff like that. It's just a solid hero. Belica. This one kind of hurts me. I'm the only person right now. And again, so like generally speaking, this is my thoughts. I'm going to take some community thoughts into my head here. I'm the only person that thinks Belica is good. I think in my opinion, I'm probably putting this hero in A tier. I think the general community thoughts on this hero is that she's like the worst hero in the game. I think that once people figure out how good Alchemical Rod is, I've been saying this for the last week since they buffed Alchemical Rod, right? When people figure out how good like Alchemical Combustion is as a first 2 item on mid laner, I think people will start to wish they were playing Belica more. I will concede that I don't think she's amazing, but I think that as a counter pick to like almost specifically Argus, I think she's really good against Argus. I think this hero is very playable. I think she's still solid. As a support, I would only ever play her against Grim, because if you throw your drone down and Grim bubbles, it pops the bubble. So it's a good counter matchup there. That's the only time I would play her support. I don't think she's good support. As a mid laner, I think she's okay against Argus. Everyone else seems to think she's just the worst hero in the game. Morigesh. I don't think Morigesh is super good at the moment. You would think she's better because tanks are good, but I don't think she's crazy. Again, a lot of mid laners right now want to farm the wave and walk away. And Morigesh, similar to Howie and Gideon, right? They want to fight on the wave. They want to fight you for prio. They want to hit you. They want to get your HP bar low. They want to solo you. Ori is good at that, but the heroes that are good right now don't really let her do that. That's just kind of where she is. I think she's matchup dependent. If you play Mori into, you know, Belica or like Gideon, I think it's fine. If you play it into some of the better mids that we'll talk about, you're going to find it's going to be hard to get value. Murdoch, solid carry. Doesn't really do anything spectacular right now, in my opinion. But just like, I don't know, a decent carry. You can snipe and get kills across the map. That's awesome. Other than that, I don't know. Muriel, okay support, in my opinion. Probably not A tier for me. Even in solo queue, where the ult across the map can be really, really good, like just to help your teammate. Oh, your solo laner is one last hit, last stock against the enemy solo. Muriel ult, he wins, he lives, the end. But even then, I think she's just okay. They tuned down her numbers quite a bit, so her early game pressure, which is where she really excelled, it's not as good anymore. I think, again, she's still okay. Matchup dependent. Into other ranged heroes into the support role. Really good against melees. You just poke them out. Narbash. I think Narbash is also not good right now. I'm going to be honest. This is a hero that I always think is good, and I also don't think he's good right now. So that's a little bit of a tough one, because I really like playing Narbash. Almost impossible to play into heroes like Richter in the support role. If you get to the late game, he's very strong. Getting there right now is pretty hard for Narbash. It's hard to get there without throwing away a bunch of deaths. And if you're doing that, I just don't know how worth it is. I think the character is just okay. FaZe. I think FaZe is not good. I don't think she belongs in the same tier as Muriel. I think she's below that. She's not she's not like one trick territory, but I think she is pretty bad. Nichely usable as a counter pick to like Richter and Rampage, but that's about it. Like, I just don't know what else this hero does right now. Rampage, speaking of which, also I think pretty bad. They just buffed him in the latest patch. Maybe we haven't had enough time to see that Rampage is actually good. I find that really unlikely. I think this character just isn't good. They buffed him. He still has the same issues. You're an ult bot with a single target stun. After the 12-minute mark, carries get cleanse, and your single target stun literally doesn't do anything. Decent chase down potential in the ultimate, right? Really far jump, consistent slow. Even then, it's just like, I don't know, dude. If you play him as a tank, you're useless. If you play him as a bruiser, you die too fast. There's just no middle ground on this hero, and I just don't think it works as is. Revenant, I think underrated. I strongly think Revenant's underrated. I think this hero is matchup dependent, very, very matchup dependent, but potentially really good. I think you will start seeing people pick Revenant against Twin Blast again, because Revenant beats Twin Blast early game in his ultimate. He 1v1s him every time. As long as you're hitting your ability, your autos and your abilities, right? As long as you're hitting everything, you 1v1 him. I think you'll see this character get better as people sort of figure out carry matchups again. I think you'll see him go up. Richter. I think this hero is broken again. Play it support, play it off lane, play it jungle. I think it's broken in 2.5 of those roles. In the off lane, it does have bad matchups, but in support, I think you can lock this every game. Obviously, against other, like something like FaZe or Muriel, they're going to bully you a little early game. But once you get level 6, you're threatening enough to where they can't play too aggressive against you, as long as you haven't thrown away, 2 or more kills to the enemy duo lane. So I think he's really strong. In the jungle, this character's gank is really good as long as you're hitting hooks. His clear is actually pretty solid right now. Off lane, I think he's actually pretty good against a lot of bruisers, good against Grux, good against Crunch, good against Greystone. These kind of heroes that want to kind of get on you and then click a bunch of buttons or auto you over and over. Richter he's the he locks people down. That's what he does. And I think if you go, like Fist of Razul, you win a lot of 1v1s. You're fairly safe in lane. Your clear's really good. I just think the hero's I think he's just really good. I think. Seraph. Solo queue, probably average. I think as a jungler, I'd maybe put her B tier. As a solo laner, I'll probably put her A tier. I think you could legitimately pick this hero most games completely blind, and you'll be fine. She does have some bad matchups in the solo lane. Like Xeris, like Crunch. But a lot of those characters that she's bad against are being played in the jungle right now. So I think she's good against tanks in the solo lane. She does pretty well. I think she's just a solid hero. You get to late game, you start getting some kill resets. Fights get really easy. So in the jungle, again, a little worse. Just like bad clear. You have to force some ganks early to get momentum. Similar to Kalari, really. But less consistent, in my opinion. Offlane, think she's good. Sevarog, one of the better tanks in the game, in my opinion. With the way that offlane is right now, I think Sevarog just stat checks a lot of characters that are supposed to counter him. And by that, I mean he is too tanky and does just enough damage to where you win against counter matchups right now, I think, as Sev. So I actually think it's pretty solid. Late game, you're just a monster. You one-shot, you basically one-shot carries. If you, use your root, and then you Q, and then you auto, and then you ult, carries die, right? At the 20-minute mark, that just kills the enemy carry. Other than that, you have really big setups. You can flash ult people back into your team. You can dash ult. You can root ult. Whatever you got to do. Really strong hero. Shinbi. I think she's okay. I would maybe even put her B tier. I think she's maybe just matchup dependent. I wouldn't really play her in the jungle. I think she's okay. The issue with Shinbi in the jungle is you want to be like a split pusher. You're really good at 1v1ing people. And so what you want to do is be on the opposite side of the map. You push a tower. Anyone on the enemy team after about the 20-minute mark comes to answer you. You win. You just kill them, right? They can't do anything to you. And that's kind of the goal of Shinbi. So in the off lane, that's much more manageable. If you're the jungler, you can't do that, right? Because you have Hunt, so you're your team's jungle objective secure, and it makes it really awkward to try to play the opposite side of the map. As an offlaner, I think she's solid. Against pretty much every matchup, you just have to play passive to level 6 or your first item, right? That kind of thing. And then once you get that online, you kind of start cooking. Really good split pusher, really good 1v1 character. Just takes a little bit of time to scale. And against more early game aggressive matchups, I think you kind of just lose. So it can be tough. Steel, again, I think this hero's really good, dude. I wouldn't really play him in the jungle. I think he's actually okay in the jungle. It's just harder to play. Your tempo's way different on this hero than any other hero. Support, I think he's really good. Really good answer to Richter. Really good against other melee supports. Really good against Narbash. I think he's even good against FaZe. Just a good hero, dude. In the off lane, this thing he steals back to doing steal things where he just wins every matchup. It's unlosable. You just walk at people and click your buttons, and then you win. Back to doing that. Really good hero. Faye, underrated, but I think good. Probably the same tier as these other fighting, the other fighting mid laners. Really good. I think Faye's really good against Howitzer. That's the one time that I would always pick Faye is if I see a Howie on the enemy team. Really good boxing potential in lane. Really good 1v1 potential. Is even before you get your ultimate, but especially after you get your ultimate. Really good 1v1 potential. You can pull flashes off the mid laner alone in a 1v1. It's really valuable. Worse wave clear. Good at killing tanks. Good at killing objectives. But again, something you have to play aggressive on. And again, it's just punishable. If you are standing, past the river trying to do damage to the enemy mid laner and their jungler shows up, it's hard to get out, right? So it's something that's punishable, but something I think is good. Twin Blast. I think Twin Blast is okay. I don't think he's broken, actually. I don't think this hero is... I think I'd probably rather have a Drongo or a Kira most games. I think he's still good. You can go on hit. You can go cringe blast build, right? The ability build. I think they're both fine. I don't think either of them are super standouts. I think he does struggle early game into tanks. At the 15-minute mark, this character will never, ever, ever kill a tank. It does not matter what 2 items you have. You're never killing them. It's one downside to this hero. But I think he's okay because once you get 3 items online, then you kill tanks, right? But it's okay. Xeris, still really strong. Don't think he's S tier anymore, but still very strong. They've nerfed this character into oblivion. Somehow he's still alive. In the off lane, not awesome in my opinion. The way that you have to build this character to get value late game makes his laning phase really hard to play. You don't, after your first item, on first item, you're really strong as an offlaner. But after you build your second item, you start losing all your 1v1s in offlane. Because you have to build to be able to kill squishies. And if you're playing against something like a tank, you'll never kill them in the lane. So a little awkward. As a jungler, I think pretty strong, decent clear, really good gank. Just like his ultimate's broken, right? A lock-on ability that you can't get out of without flash. If they don't have flash, it's a free kill. If they die while your ult is up, you get free power. That sounds pretty good. Worst thing that happens is you ult in and they flash away and you get a 5-minute cooldown for your 1-minute cooldown. Just a crazy character, honestly. Sparrow. I think Sparrow's back to being kind of bad. I think her damage is still good. Okay, this character's always done damage. The issue lies in ranked, do you trust your teammates to keep you alive long enough to let you do all your damage, right? That's kind of what it comes down to. Can you position properly, and can your team play around your proper positioning to let you get to the point in a fight where you kill everybody? It's hard. Like, even in PCC, right? Even in competitive, it's hard. So, in solo queue, in ranked, do I trust people to do that? Not really. I'm probably not picking this character a whole lot. Wraith. I think Wraith is actually pretty good right now. But I still think he suffers from the... as a carry, I don't know exactly how good he is. I would imagine he's okay with like a phase support or a Muriel support. As a mid laner, which is where I would probably mostly play him, similar to Faye, Howie, Gideon, you want to be fighting. It makes you vulnerable. We covered that already. But the other thing about this hero is that I think you have to be better at Wraith than any of these 3 heroes to get the same amount of value out of him. I think if you're really good at Wraith, you get more value than you get out of something like a Faye or a Howie, right? I think you can get more value. But to get the same amount of value as an average Howie or Faye player, I think you have to be an above average Wraith player. And I just don't think that the skill required to get to get value out of this hero, it's kind of not worth it. That's kind of where I'm at. I think the hero is good. I really don't think he needs buffed anymore. But people still suck at him. He's still hard to play. Again, a very coin flippy character in the mid lane. You have to run at the enemy mid laner. If you get ganked and die before you kill the enemy mid laner, game's kind of over. If you kill the enemy mid laner and you get away, awesome. Game's in your hands. It's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. Iggy, probably the best mid laner in the game. This shit's OP. Even after they just nerfed him again, I think this character is broken. He just does, again, he's so hands off. I guarantee you could write a code that would play a standard game of Predecessor for you if you were playing Iggy mid lane, and it would win games of Pred. I guarantee it. Because this hero is so hands off. You just click abilities on the wave. You walk away. You can build as many stacking items as you want because it doesn't matter. You kill objectives faster than anyone else. Hero is just really, really good. I hope they nerf him because I think this playstyle of mid lane is super duper boring. Like, just being able to just AFK and push waves, it's super boring. I hope they nerf him more. I would almost put him in A+ tier, but I think the amount of hands off, how easy he is to play, I think bumps him up to S tier. That's where I'm at. He's so easy that getting max value out of this character is very simple. Play Iggy. Please don't play Iggy. Actually, I lied. Don't play Iggy. Iggy's F tier. I promise. Quang. Solid hero, I think. In the offlane, I think you win a lot of matchups. You can build you early really well. Late game, he becomes a lot harder to play because you require your team's follow-up. Like, drastically. Like, this hero late game doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, but he still has pretty good crowd control. So, if your teammate's following you up, I think he's pretty good. Early game, he's really good. You just win a lot of offlane 1v1s. You just go in, you click all your buttons. He's kind of like Crunch if Crunch was good. You click all your buttons, and then you kill people or you force them out of lane. Really good lane bully. Probably the best lane bully right now. But late game, a little hard to play. doesn't get to be S tier. Argus, the other S tier mid laner, in my opinion. I think this hero, very similar to Iggy. Walk up to wave, press a bunch of buttons. Wave dies, you walk away. The difference between these heroes is really just a playstyle thing. Iggy wants to be set up on objectives when they spawn. You insta-kill them, you walk away. Argus can do a similar thing, but I think has a better, like, mid-fight. On Iggy, if you start a fight, you throw down all your turrets, and then something like a Gadget ult comes out, or a Gideon ult, and it kills all your turrets. Your mid-fight at that point is really weak. As soon as your turrets are dead, your mid-fight becomes really weak. You still have okay abilities. Your ultimate actually does a lot of damage on Iggy. But your mid-fight, again, it's hard to play properly, stuff like that. Argus is similar in the amount that he kills tanks, he kills objectives, right? With his right-click, you just shoot a bunch of balls at people. But in the mid-fight, he's better. His cooldowns are a little lower. He has crowd control. He has, you can peel for your carry. You can keep your carry alive. He has really good chase down. He has good ganks with his ultimate. I would almost even say that Argus is better. I would probably actually say that Argus is better. But Iggy is way easier to play. Grim. I think Grim's a solid carry. He's been nerfed a whole lot, right? But I think he's still good. You have to be better at this hero now to get value out of him. But I still think he's good. Late game, he's like a hyper carry is really how he goes. If you get to late game on this hero, you kind of just win. Aurora. Almost S tier for me, honestly. As a jungler specifically, I think she's really, really good. Still has incredible clear. Still has a really good gank. Wall. Her wall is just a broken ability. Her ult is also really good. In the off lane, I think she's solid. She has more losing matchups in the off lane than she does like if you're playing her jungle. But I think if you're rotating and still getting value out of your hero, I think she's pretty good. Support, you can play this character support, and I think it's okay into tanks. Any melee support struggles against Aurora. It's just kind of how it goes. Because, like, a Steel can't walk at you because you press E and he gets rooted. Richter, if he hooks you, you just start hitting him and you win the damage trade. Stuff like that, right? It's hard to play these melee supports against Aurora. I think she's a niche counter pick as a support. Terra, I think this hero is very, very good. This hero is just really strong. They kind of buffed some of her. They shifted her in the latest patch after she released. Parts of her are better, parts of her are worse. Overall, I would say she's better. Just a good lane bully. Like really like almost kind of like what Crunch wants to do to people. You just have really good abilities that do a lot of damage, especially to tanks, and then you have really good ganks. Like, she has 1v1 potential. She pushes people out of lane. But then if she rotates to mid, you pretty much kill every mid laner in the game for free on this hero. If you walk in, you can either dash in and, stun them, then root them or whatever. Or you can root them from a long range, then get your dash stun. It's just, like, this hero's ganks are really good. She's really good in the jungle as well. Personally, I prefer her in offlane. I don't play as much jungle. But I have been told that she's a very good jungler. Again, in the offlane, I think she's really strong. Like top 1-2 offlaners. She doesn't beat Steel. That's the caveat to this. Steel doesn't really beat Terra. She doesn't beat Steel in lane. So, like, that's the caveat, right? Who do you want to call number one? Is it Steel or Terra? Who knows? Their matchup is a stalemate. It doesn't, who cares? But yeah, this is my tier list. Let me know if you guys have questions down below. Again, some of this stuff is a little variable. Right, like Fang Mao could probably come down to B, stuff like that. Like, it's a little variable. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions, of course. Yeah, let me know how sad you guys are that Bellic is bad now. But that's all I've got for you guys today. So, as always, guys, I've been Pinzo. This video's done so. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.